is your customer willing to work every weekend for the next 6 months? Are they willing to miss all of their children's games, wake up early, go to sleep late, not have a social life? Are they willing to take 2 months off from work? Realistically, a homeowner could do that renovation themselves, but there's an opportunity cost for them as to what they're willing to pay to have you come and do that and get the results that you get. Are they willing to do that over hiring you? What's going on, everyone? It is me bringing you another episode of Midweek Modern Craftsman here. I am actually recording on Tuesday this week. It's a little bit warm here in New Jersey. I got to hop off the main podcast a little bit early tonight because Selby has a playoff softball game. We are winding down with softball here. It's been a long season. It seems, it's not, it seems, it's a fact that they essentially play all year round. Spring, fall, winter training. It's a bit nonstop, but we are wrapping up spring softball here. We had a tournament this past weekend. The girls did well. They've really turned a corner the past few weeks, and they're playing some. We still need to work on hitting, but our defense has gotten considerably better, and it's enjoyable to watch. I mean, it's fun to watch always when it's your kids playing, but it's actually fun to watch from like a baseball, softball perspective now, where they're making plays, looking for what the next step should be, thinking about what's going to happen depending on what happens within the game. So I think that a lot of people don't love baseball. So I played baseball until I was in middle school, and then I started wrestling year round. So I wish I would have stuck with it. But I've been listening to baseball. I don't watch it as much just because we have one TV. We do not have cable, and the girls basically commandeered that one TV. But I listen to a ton of baseball, and I have since I was in my early 20s. I try and listen to almost every Phillies game, which I think I enjoy better than watching the games, to be honest. But there's like the thing with baseball and why people enjoy other sports. It's what seems to be more action in other sports, whether hockey, football, what else is popular? Basketball. Baseball seems to be a little bit slower moving. They've done things to try and speed up the game, whether it's pitch clock, but there's a game within a game. There's a huge mental aspect to baseball that I find really enjoyable. I don't need like the constant stimulation and the antics and the jumping up and down and everything else, where baseball, I feel, is one of those very classic sports where people generally behave themselves. If they don't, if you want to showboat, you're probably going to get thrown at and kept in check, which they've cut back on a lot, but I actually did not find that to be a bad thing. It's like you want to come up and hit a home run and flip your bat, you're going to get a ball thrown in your ribs next time you come up, and you probably won't do that again. It's gotten a little bit away from that. There is a game within a game, and there's always it's like chess. There, depending on what move happens next, there's 6 more moves that you could do, or you could elect to put in place. And I find that to be the most enjoyable aspect of baseball, the game within the game. At surface level, it may seem as it's a very boring game. There's not a lot going on. There's always a million things going on behind the scenes and within the game that if you follow baseball, softball enough, you understand, and that's what's enjoyable. Our kids are getting to that point where they're understanding the game within the game, and it's not just, who's at bat and this, you're getting pitched to regarding who's behind you and what count you might get certain pitches and where you want to bat somebody in the lineup. There's just so much going on. Our girls are finally starting to understand that and play to that, and it's exciting. It's fun. It makes it a lot more fun than just watching it for me. So softball's wrapping up. We have a playoff game tonight. We've lost to this team twice, but each time we've lost to them, we've done better. We just lost to them in a tournament this weekend, 3-1. We gave up 2 unearned runs, so it was a pretty tight game. So I'm excited to see what happens tonight. What else is going on here? After the first round of this tournament this weekend, I decided to go out. It was really nice weather last week. This week, I decided to go out and hop on my dirt bike and take a ride out in the woods. Nobody else was around, wanted to ride. Generally, my buddies are going to ride. We'll leave in the morning, like a Saturday or Sunday, and go riding. But nobody was around, so I went out in the woods by myself, and I ended up. It was just so nice out. It was later in the afternoon. When I first got out, I was pretty tired. Taking my time, cruising around, and then I got into a bit of a zone, and I ended up doing 45 miles of trail in like 2 hours by myself, which is a lot and a huge workout. And by the time I got done, I was so beat. And then that was Saturday. Even on the job yesterday, which was Monday, I was moving around, getting up and down. I'm like, why am I so my lower back sore, my legs are sore, I can barely move. And then I was like, I definitely overdid it riding my dirt bike this past weekend. But it was so nice. It was one of those like perfect days. A little bit of a breeze, the sun's out, it's warm when you want it to be warm. It's just cool enough when you want it to be cool enough. So I definitely took advantage of that and spent a couple hours in the woods and definitely got my fix of just being able to zone out and get into that flow state, get some riding done, enjoyed myself. And then after I got done, we live in a town, Medford, and there's another part of town called Medford Lakes. There's obviously a ton of lakes. So I met the girls who were at a friend's house who have a community lake. So we hung out on the lake for a couple hours before calling it a night on Saturday night. So it was a good weekend. It felt like a summer weekend, which was cool. I mean, we're there. It's June, getting very close to it. Wrapping up on the school year, wrapping up on softball, and then it'll be go time. I enjoy summer with the kids. As they get older, it's more fun because it's less of keeping them busy and more of just like a little less responsibility with them. And I feel like as adults, we do live somewhat vicariously through them where it's like, yeah, we can stay up late tonight. It's not a weekday. We can go get ice cream in the middle of the week. We just try and have fun with them. We understand that summers are very limited. You don't get a ton of time with them and they're few and far between. And at this point, Selby's going into 6th grade. She's young for a grade, but she'll be 11 this year. And we probably have limited amount of time left where they actually want to spend time in the summer with us. So we're trying to soak that in as much as possible. That being said, sometimes they can be a bit much. But yeah, it was a good weekend. Like I said, I'm excited to get summer going, wrap up a softball, free up our schedule a little bit more. But today's podcast, I like this one. I enjoyed it. It was fun. I wasn't sure what I was going to write on, and I was just thinking about summer coming up and thinking about the girls and getting older, and they went out of the house on a good this morning. I was working from home, the opportunities that I have, being able to not be on a job, working from home, and I started thinking about business, and I started my business in June or July of 2010. So, within the next month or so, I'm going to be in business for 14 years. And I started thinking about what that looked like. And it was like looking back on it, there was a lot of times that I really, really struggled with business. Not necessarily, it was difficult. Making money was difficult. It didn't always come easy. Learning new skills, selling, like there was a lot of difficulties, but I think that it helped me grow as a business owner, as a human being, just with regard to the industry, my social media, my networking, all of that stuff. There's all great things that came with it, but it was a lot of work a lot of the time. And I look back on it and it's like, I could say today, yeah, like as a whole it was worth it. I'm glad I did it, but like, was it all worth it all of the time? Probably not. And I started thinking about what I would do differently and like where my business is today. Um, and obviously, like I've had employees, I've not had employees, I'd had part-time employees. But all in all, I've always wanted to remain small and I didn't want a ton of mouths to feed. And I'm sure that all of you at this point understand that that's my MO, that's my prerogative, that's what I want for my business and my life. But I started thinking about how hard it was and how difficult it was to make money that way, because at the end of the day, you're relying on yourself to make a living. You don't have six employees where you're pulling percentages of what the work that they're putting in place and making money on that. If I work or if I don't work is whether I make money or I don't. And that's one of the pros and cons, and the argument where people are like, we need to grow your business. What's going to happen when you get older? And I think that if you structure it correctly and you are lean and you live um, a relatively modest lifestyle. Like Rachel and I have everything that we need, probably, and then some. Rachel works, I work, we save money, and we hope to be able to put enough money away and invest enough money to retire. I think that that's doable for everyone. And I think that, there's ways that we could spend less money than we do. Absolutely. There's ways that we could spend more. I think that we have a decent lifestyle. We're not living frivolously, but we're also not on the poverty line. We have what we need, and probably then some. And whenever we want something, we have the ability generally to reach those goals or obtain what we want. So I think that if that's what you want out of life, and you're okay with putting in some work up front and structuring things, that it's definitely attainable for anyone, if you remain small. And as always, I've had a ton of people that have reached out to me for consulting calls. If that's something you're interested in, shoot me an email, tyler@trghomeconcepts.com. I really feel as though the past couple of years I've hit my stride, and I've understood the opportunity cost of myself and my business and how I value my time. And I would love to be able to share that with you. If you find that there's certain aspects of your business that you're struggling to make money, struggling to have free time, and you're small, you're an owner operator, you have 1, 2, 3 employees, and you want some insight or some better perspective as to what I've done to be able to create a lucrative business model for myself, and something that I can sustain, and something that I can sell. And if this is what I choose to do forever, it's definitely a model that I can stand behind. Shoot me an email, tell you what's up with that. Again, I'm only scheduling a week or two in advance, so it's first come, first serve. Generally not doing more than 2 a week, and on Tuesdays. So if you're interested, tyler@trghomeconcepts.com. But I look back at my business and I look at like how I started establishing what I wanted to make. And essentially it was all just relative to something else in my life. When I first went out on my own, I was 23, in 2010, 20, 23, 24, I guess 24. And I'd just gotten done college. So like my rate was based on what I had made up to that point, what I had made working for my dad's company, what I had made working summer jobs, what I made working my internships in college. And it was like, okay, well, if I made $25 an hour working my internship in college, and that was great money at that point in 2008, 2009, 2010. If I charge $35 for myself, I'm making so much more already. Obviously, that's a bad business model, but that was where my mindset was. And it was always like that. It was, okay, so here's my experience at this point, or here's what my experience was. I charged this much. So now that my experience is X amount more, I can charge X amount more. It was always relative to my experience. And it wasn't until probably the past 5 or so years that I really started understanding there has to be more to it than that, right? Experience is great, reputation is great, but if we're doing all of these things with our business, and I've invested 14 years into my customer base, into my business, into my marketing and everything else, there's opportunities that will present themselves, whether it's opportunities to work with a vendor, a manufacturer, whether it's this podcast, whether it's a networking event, whether it's consulting, whether it's just a higher paying job or a job that you enjoy more, or maybe it's taking some time off. There's opportunities once you invest this amount of time that will either come at an expense or come to a detriment to your business, or opportunities that afford you um, something else in your life, and it could be financial, it could be time, it could be, a hobby spending, whatever it is, there's opportunity costs to what we do. And I realized that my rate the past 5 years should probably account for the opportunity cost. So I was always turning down opportunities. I can't go on this trip. I can't be involved with this organization. I can't write this many more articles. I can't devote more time to the podcast because my main source of income was what I needed to survive. And everything else came at the expense of that. I couldn't do anything else because I didn't find the way that I could recoup at least the cost of my main source of income. And it wasn't until I realized like all of these other opportunities, one, they don't necessarily need to generate more money, but two, they can also generate more money where it's like, if I could go and do something else for work, or I could spend more time on this podcast, or I could um, go out to Cleveland like I'm going to do with Fine Home Building in a few weeks, and that generates more success for me. It generates more experience for me. It generates more income and possibly more peace of mind, security, financial, health, happiness, whatever it may be, like lack of stress that I have to ensure my current jobs are taking into account the opportunity cost of saying no to those opportunities that come up. So I need to look at my work as like, hey, all these other things are not the cost of that opportunity, right? Where I'm not like I have to stay at work because I want to go do something else. It's like, well, what if that something else actually benefited me more than work? So I like, what is going to keep me from leaving work to go do this? And I think that when I started really basing my rate off the opportunity cost of what I was missing or potential opportunities, that I realized that my rate was not high enough. Um, Again, if I could go and do something else and make more money, or right, like some of this is design where I was able to charge more money for pre-construction. Um, why would I not focus more on the pre-construction if I get the same satisfaction out of it than working with my belt on if I can make more money doing that? So my belt on rate needs to at least be the rate of the opportunities that I'm turning down. Um, the same could be said for like for a while, there's a couple people who wanted me to subcontract for them. And if I couldn't make substantially more subcontracting for somebody else, why would I leave my work, my customers, and everything that I'm putting into my business unless it were easier, it generated more income, gave me more peace of mind, whatever it is? Why it would have to be substantially more for me to leave what I was doing, even if it were only for a week, to go help somebody else out, because it just doesn't make sense. So I started looking at all these opportunities that I was letting pass me by, even spending time with your family, which is where this conversation started. Your opportunities to spend time with your family are fleeting. My kids' softball, fleeting. Just them sitting around wanting to be with their parents. All of this, we're getting older. Our kids are getting older. We will have less time. I have to weigh that against the cost of me working. So is the job that's going to have me work after hours, that I'm going to miss my daughter's softball game, is the price and the cost of that work worth it to me? Is the opportunity cost greater than being at my daughter's softball game? And if I made a promise, or I had an obligation, or I just wanted to be there for my kids, that cost of that job would have to be substantially more, and it might be more than the market rate. And I had this realization where like there's all of these data driven metrics for what the market rate is. But when you are small and you are an owner operator or you're a small business, we give up we let so many opportunities pass us by because we need to make our customers happy, because we need to make sure that everyone else is being fed, because we need to make sure that our customers get in their house by this holiday. Meanwhile, we won't help our family out leading up to that holiday because we're so busy trying to cater to our customers. And I just realized that like there's a part of my rate that has to take into account all of the headache and all of the aggravation and all of the missed opportunities for my work. When I started doing that and I started realizing, yeah, if you want me to work like a dog and be on your job, it's going to be more than the market rate because you have a program that wants you to get in sooner than I can get you in, or you want to get on my schedule sooner than I have to. Like I would always just tell everyone yes, yes, yes. And I'm at the point now where it's like the financial um like reward or capacity of that project is not worth the mental aggravation and anxiety and angst produced by that. And if there's like a financial break even point, what is that to me? It has to be more than my normal rate. So I like you have the market rate. Yeah, what will my market bear? But also like from myself and owning a business, what is the opportunity cost? What else am I putting aside? What opportunities am I letting pass me by to do this? And I think that that really helped me say, hey, you know what? My rate isn't enough to not spend dinners with my family. My rate isn't enough to work on the weekends. My rate isn't enough to work up to holidays, take one day off, and then get right back to work. If my market doesn't bear that, then I need to figure something else out. Or I can find a specific customer. I can market to a specific customer. I can find other ways to make income, but I still have to account for the opportunity cost of what I'm missing or what else I may be able to do. I've had opportunities lately that have been more financially lucrative than having my belt on and swinging a hammer because of everything that I put into my business. And for a long time, I pushed aside all of those opportunities. I wouldn't hop on a phone call and help somebody make their business better because it was like, I'm it's not covering the cost of me missing work. It's not covering the cost. So it's not paying for me to be here. So I'm doing this out of the goodness of my heart. How can I accommodate this time in my schedule, in my life to be able to do this? And it's something that I want to do. I have to ensure that the cost of that is greater than the cost of me being at the job. And that could be a financial cost, that could be an emotional cost, whatever it may be. I need to make sure that it accommodates my wants and my needs. Again, whether they're financial, emotional, whatever, physical, whatever it may be, I need to make sure that that's in line with what makes me happy and generates the best lifestyle and really suits what I want to do in life. So I've realized that the past few years I've gotten away from what's this market rate, right? What is my experience? How much time have I put into this? And what is everyone else charging for this? Because we're all competing with each other and we are all basically, our market is dictated by other people's opportunity costs. So I look at a lot of people who hire us, and I'm not saying that they do what we do, but realistically, if they wanted to, like if I did a kitchen renovation, a homeowner could do that renovation themselves. And I'm not saying that it's going to be done to the same level or the same caliber, but there's an opportunity cost for them as to what they're willing to pay to have you come and do that and get the results that you get. Is the cost of the missed opportunity greater than the investment financially or from a time perspective that they would have to do that project? So you say, hey, a kitchen, is your customer willing to work every weekend for the next 6 months to get it done? Are they willing to invest $150,000 into it? Are they willing to work after work to get the project done for the next 3 months? Are they willing to miss all of their children's games? Are they willing to wake up early, go to sleep late, not have a social life? All of that dictates what they're willing to spend within our market, right? what opportunities are they going to let pass them by? Are they willing to take 2 months off from work? Or, you know what, get a jump start on the vacation, to get a jump start on the project by taking their 3 weeks vacation and just working on this project? Are they willing to do that over hiring you? And a lot of times they're hiring us because the opportunity cost of doing that kitchen is not as high to them as them being at work, them being with their family, them enjoying hobbies, whatever it is they may do. And I have to realize that I have to look at it from a similar mindset where it's like, is me being on your job pulling me away from either a better paying project, doing something that I would get more enjoyment out of, working in another industry, having time off, like just working on my mental health, not worrying about a job for a month, for 2 weeks? Is it taking me away from building my business and working on internal things that my business needs addressed, that you're so busy wearing a tool belt that you never have an opportunity to sit back, step back, look at the numbers, understand what's working, understand what's not working, understand that you're not making money and you're just spinning your wheels? What's it pulling you away from? So I start looking at things that way, where it's like, hey, you want me to come work for you? I have all of these opportunities on the table. Some of them are financially driven, some of them are emotionally driven, some of them are physically driven. You know, do you want to exercise? Do you want to be able to maintain a diet? Do you want a certain amount of time to be able to meditate every morning before you go to the job? There's all different opportunities that we have. There's all different wants and needs, and you have to ensure that wherever you are in life, whoever's project that you are working on, it is worth the opportunity or the missed opportunity of doing these other things. And when I really started taking into that into account and realizing that all of our customers are hiring us because it doesn't make sense for them to do it themselves for whatever reason, whether it's technically, time wise, financially, they don't have the skill set, they don't feel like it, whatever it is, they're investing in you because the opportunity cost of doing the work does not make sense to them, for missing out on other things in their life. Them taking 2 weeks off from work to bang out this powder room remodel, they'd rather have the vacation and pay you the money. So you have to look at it the same way, right? Like, would you rather have the vacation than put the extra 2 weeks in to get to get another customer in your Rolodex, or to make somebody else happy? What is, at what cost is this coming? So I look at now, right, where somebody wants me to come work for them, and I have all these other opportunities that we've created, that I've created with Nick, that I've created with other business partners, that I've created with vendors, with manufacturers, through networking, through my family, through everything else. What's it worth to me? And it may not necessarily be directly relative to what the market rate is. And again, you can hire me, you can not hire me. It doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, the decision is going to be mine. Do I want to work for you? Do I want to do this job? Is this up my alley? Is it generating the income that I want? Does it fit my program? Does it fit my schedule, my needs, my wants? And I'm not looking at it from the mentality of the customer at this point, where it's like, hey, I understand what I do, and I understand what I can offer, and I understand what I want to be doing. And is it worth it to me to work for you rather than work for somebody else, or to do something independent of that? And I think that when I adopted that mindset, I really started to understand the value of my time. The value of my time, an hour of my time at this point in my life, is much higher than what the market is willing to bear for me to go to someone's house. So what I've been trying to do, and what I'm transitioning to, is to be able to generate alternative means of income that affords me the opportunity to go work for the people that I've always loved working for, and not have to charge a rate that's above market value. If that's what I want to do, great. Again, I'm able to make money, I'm able to sustain, I'm able to save money. But if I want to go and I want to work for the people that I worked for when I first started, that at this point I'm out of their price point, but I really enjoyed who they were, I just can't at this point go. Again, the opportunity cost to take their job and make less money is a tough pill for me to swallow at this point in my life. So, what if I can generate income in other areas of my life that it affords me an opportunity to go work for the single mom who needs me to go help her out, who just went through a shitty divorce and is now taking care of her kids emotionally, financially, mentally. Um, I want the opportunity to be able to do that. I want to be able to help old customers who are great to me, who invested in me early on, and not feel as though, hey, like I can't because I have to go do this job that pays me more money because that's the way that my life is structured now. So I'm just weighing all of these opportunities. I'm weighing the cost of them. I'm weighing what happens if I take this job versus another job. And I understand that my time is very limited. So my rates are not necessarily indicative as to what the market rate is, what the market will bear, as much as what is my time worth to me? What else could I be doing that could possibly free me up some, give me more peace of mind, give me more freedom to spend time with my family, give me more financial freedom to go work for customers that have been out of my price point for a little bit. Um, it's something that I considered, that I didn't really pay much mind to until I sat down and I started writing this podcast and recording this podcast, because I realized that like the past few years I've started to look at just how much time I have in a year and how much time I'm willing to devote to customers versus my own well-being and my own family, and what those numbers look like and what I need to generate as far as revenue to make sense of all of that. And I found a way to do that with the business model I have now. But I really would like to be able to increase that, not necessarily from a volume perspective, but make money elsewhere that I don't necessarily need to be weighing the opportunity, like the financial opportunity costs of my remodels. And I can rather just help people who need the help because they want the help, and because I find that they're good people, and not because it's going to actually affect my lifestyle and what we need financially to survive. So at this point now, when leads come in, I'm absolutely weighing what the cost of that lead is and what my life would look like and what opportunities I'm squashing by really entertaining a lead that's going to consume me for 3 months, or the pre-con's going to consume me for 6 weeks, and then the construction is a 6-month project. What is that 6 months of my time? What opportunities am I going to allow pass me by? And if I'm going to take that opportunity, I need to make sure that it's generating enough on the back end, either financially or from a time perspective, or creating more opportunity for me and my business, that it's the right choice for me. So I think that if you all start looking at your time from that perspective, and not just, hey, I need this job to pay my bills, but hey, what's this job going to take me away from? I think that you'll realize that your rate doesn't necessarily need to directly correlate to how many years you have in this, what your backlog of work looks like, what you were able to charge for your last job. You'll start realizing that, like, hey, this is going to consume this many hours, this many days of my time. And how do I need to offset that financially? Or would I rather be doing something else with my time? Again, it doesn't have to be financial. You can concede dollars on a project to do a job that it would make you happier on a daily basis. It's going to make your life better from an emotional or a mental standpoint. The opportunity cost does not have to be a financial one. So that's it. That's what I was thinking. Again, it I don't feel as though like my rate increasing and what I charge now has always been directly correlated to what I've done as far as marketing per se goes, as far as my number of years in the business, the experience, like all of that plays a part in it. And I'm where I am because of all of those things. But even now, like, instead of sharpening my pencil a million times and being like, I need this job to hit at this number because in my gut, it's telling me that's where it should be. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to say, hey, this project's going to consume this much of my time. And I understand that this number is where it is because it's taking into account what this is pulling me away from: other jobs, other experiences, other opportunities. And the customer at that point has to weigh the opportunity cost to them of, do I hire this person? Does it make sense for me to have to work X amount more to pay for this level? Or am I fine with hiring somebody who's a little less money? I have to work less. I have to invest a little less in this. It all comes down to what it makes sense to you financially, emotionally, from a time perspective. And I think that, again, all of this comes into play because of my experience and how long I've been doing this. But more so, it's not like, hey, it's been 14 years, I should make this amount. It's like, hey, it's been 14 years. I understand that my time is worth this amount. And what else could I be doing with my time that would either generate more income for me, or more peace of mind, or more happiness, or a combination of all three? So that's the way that I'm looking at a lot of projects now, and a lot of new leads, and a lot of new customers. I don't have time to take that many new customers on, so I have to look at it from like, hey, what existing customers and return customers will this new customer pull me away from, and is it worth it? So that does play a huge part in my vetting process and the work that I'm possibly entertaining. All right, guys and girls, I appreciate you hanging around, listening, and make sure you check out the main podcast too. Hop on the website, check out the blog posts, order some merch, moderncraftsman.co. Nick and I, as we discussed, have a few more things that are coming into play here shortly that we're going to be pumping out, that we're really excited about, that as soon as we're up and running, as soon as I have any more information about that, I will spread the news here. Also, I know that I mentioned this before, but I am 100% officially on the docket for the Contractor Coalition Summit. I am part of that team, which is part of the opportunity that I am looking at as far as, hey, this is going to consume X amount of my time. What does it need to be worth to pull away and say no to my other customers and be a part of this? So that next coalition summit, it's going to be in Boston. That's going to be September 27th through the 30th of 2024. It's limited space. So I would not wait. There are not that many tickets. Again, it's first come, first serve. Really great event. Absolutely wonderful people. There's a ton of takeaways from that. The networking, the business, well worth the investment. But you can hop on contractorscoalitionsummit.com. You can find out about all the upcoming events, where they are. You can grab the tickets. You can sign up for payment plans. If you refer somebody, you get money off. If you're a return customer, you get money off. There's a ton of ways to make this happen. If you have any specific questions, you can reach out to me, Tyler at trghomeconcepts.com, and I can put you in touch with somebody who can help you out. But definitely check that out, and don't sleep on that. That's gonna sell out for sure. The last event was the biggest event, and I would assume that this is going to sell even quicker than that did. So that's September 27th through the 30th this year in Boston. We're going to actually tour Nick's White Oak project, so don't miss out on that. If you have any questions, you want a consulting call, anything at all that you need, Tyler at trghomeconcepts.com. I appreciate everyone listening, and I'll catch you next week.